good.
Most Americans have no idea what the World Bank actually is. Do you agree with that?
Unfortunately, I do. And it's sad because we deal with the question of governance, the question of corruption, questions of environment, questions of health, questions of education, and ultimately those things are at the core of peace.
How can you keep loaning poor countries money to meet their basic needs? It is completely predictable that what happens is poor countries end up with debts they can't afford, and that debt becomes the noose around their neck with which the World Bank and the IMF become the government.
There is a political set of questions to be asked around this. Who owns water? Who gets to make the decisions about water? Why is this group, the World Water Council and the World Bank and these big water corporations, why have they got to set themselves up as a global high command of water and make decisions for the rest of us? Who exactly elected them?
Quand le président du Conseil mondial de l'eau, qui organise tous les grands forums à la gloire des multinationales, n'est autre que le président d'une société à Marseille qui appartient à 50% à Vivendi, 50% à Suez. Et quand vous savez que Michel Camdessus, qui est l'ancien président du FMI, et qui a comme ses deux conseillers principaux les deux numéros 2 de Suez et de Veolia, on a compris, tout est contrôlé, vicié. Simplement, les gens ne le savent pas.
And this is a club that decided, I think before the rest of us understood, that water is the most precious commodity for them in the world. It's blue gold. They're going to make tons of money, and more importantly than money, because you really need to compare fresh water with oil. It's about power. It's about which sectors of society, which countries, which governments, which corporations are going to control the blue gold of the future.
Water is for survival, and who owns the water for survival owns you. And that's the picture that people have to understand.
Have you ever seen any of your victims?
Victims? Be melodramatic.
Look down there. Would you really feel any pity if one of those dots stopped moving forever? If I offered you 20,000 pounds for every dot that stopped, would you really, old man, tell me to keep my money? Or would you calculate how many dots you could afford to spend? Free of income tax, only. Free of income tax. The only way you can save money nowadays.
The Ganges is quite clearly a mother in a deep sense in the Indian cultural heritage. We bring the ashes of our people to this river when they die. Until those ashes touch the river, their spirits and souls are not considered to have had salvation. When a child is born, we put a drop of Ganges water in their mouth. When someone dies, the last rite is a drop of Ganges water. It is considered purifying in a very deep spiritual sense, that it cleanses you and is the place where humans return to become more human. It's a river that gives us our humanity. Its very life is under threat, and with the life of the Ganga, what is threatened is the belief of 1 billion Indians. This water's flow is being interrupted. This Ganga is being trapped in the Tehri Dam, and the tragedy of it is that it's being done for the most base, crude greed of one of the world's biggest water companies. Suez is then going to get the water, 635 million liters a day, to be sold to Delhi citizens at 10 times the price they are paying for water today.
In the 1800s and the 1700s, and going back even further in time, society lived on the resources that we had. We took water when we needed it from the rivers for irrigating small-scale agriculture. We captured rainfall and recharged our groundwater aquifers when we could. That traditional way of meeting our water needs was replaced in the 20th century by the idea that we could build large infrastructure. We could build big dams, we could move rivers around.
We're building dams basically to store water. Why do we store water? We store water so then it can be supplied for cities for drinking water, to agriculture for irrigation, and so that we can generate hydroelectricity. But the big issue is, do we really need dams to do these things, and are there other better ways in which we can store water?
When we dam a river or change the course of a river or straighten a river, we are playing with a very powerful thing, and we are altering ecosystems in a very short period of time that took thousands or millions of years to adapt and to evolve. In the river, you have organic matter that would flow down the river and feed all the life forms in the river and all of the life forms along the river and feed our oceans. When you put up a dam, that organic matter gets captured behind the dam and it begins to rot and it creates methane gas. And methane gas is one of the gases that contributes to the greenhouse effect on our planet.
When you calculate the global warming impact of the reservoir, it can be many times worse even than a coal plant. Sometimes 20 times higher than a coal-burning power plant. Invariably, when a dam is being built, you hear justification for the dam based on it's going to provide water for the poor, it's going to provide water for these drought-prone areas which are so badly in need of water, and you get this feeling that this is some great development project to help the lives of the small farmers and the poor people in whatever country we're talking about. Actual experience shows that this doesn't happen, that those who are able to benefit from the increased irrigation water invariably are the larger farmers.